Hey friends, guess what we're doing today? We are planting our garlic for our next year's garden. Yes, it's already this time of the year where we start to think about next year's garden and planting already something for that. To make that happen, we gotta clean out this sad pumpkin or squash bed here for my winter squash. It had the chance, it's winding down. It is what it is. I wish I had a little bit more time because I had a good number of not mature winter squash in here because it got put down by some bunnies a couple times this year. So it started really, really late. For that reason, not all of them are as mature as I hoped. But I don't think 2 more weeks or something would make a difference here. And I really need to plant my garlic. So that is what we are going to clean out. See how many winter squash we got, and then I'll show you how I plant my garlic for next year. You can really see this bed has seen better days. It's very, very full of powdery mildew. So we'll get that one cleared out and see what we got in terms of pumpkin harvest. But yep, looking forward to have a little bit more clear space in here as well, which is not diseased. The cleanup is done. As sad as it is, I always find it very satisfying to have a clean slate again. Gets me excited for next year's garden season already. And it's just the matter or the cycle of life, right? So especially in gardening, you get to know sometimes when to let things go. I was going back and forth for I think like 2 weeks now. Should I leave them? Should I not? Should I leave them? Should I not? And decided no, we are not sacrificing for just a few winter squash our success with next year's garlic. So what I'm going to do here now is just going through and see that I cleaned out all the disease debris in detail. I straightened out the irrigation lines again to just make sure they're all set for next year. I will add some compost. We'll plant the garlic in the back half of the bed because that's where the sun will hit and they will grow first. So I want to make sure that they don't shade anything out what I plant in the front. Those are large beds, 4x8. So I don't want to plant a 4x8 bed just out with garlic. That is too much garlic. We'll never eat that, never make it through. So half a bed was what I did this year, and I think that is a really good amount. I can share a little, can dehydrate some, and the rest is eaten fresh. And I saved some, which we'll plant out for today. So this is the optimal amount. And here we have this squash harvest, all winter squash. So the 5 here in the front, those are immature ones. I don't think they're edible. I think this one will be okay, but they all should look like this and this one. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. I'll use them for some fall decorations. Same with the butternut squash. They are, like the 3 in the middle, they are quite immature. So I'm not fully sure what to do. I'll take them inside and see what we can do and research if they're safe to eat. Not fully sure on that one yet. And then there in the back is the pile with our netting, which will be I only use my netting once, especially when you had like disease on it. It's impossible to not carry that over into the next season. So that is what gets discarded in the trash. So one important thing whenever you clean up some disease stuff, like with gloves or so, I always sanitize them afterwards with some wipes. You will never get it fully off, I would argue, but it's better than nothing, especially if you want to do other garden chores afterwards. So make sure you clean your gloves and what touched plant material with some wipes, some alcohol wipes, or those are just the normal disinfectant wipes, because the human is the biggest disease factor in the garden, as you may know. So I'll try to limit that as good as I can. Yeah, so not that the powdery mildew isn't in the air here anyway, but again, like gives me a little bit peace of mind to know that I did my due diligence here. So clean your gloves. So I meant the back side here with some compost. That's our favorite Coast of Maine compost here. I always have a couple bags on hand, and it was sitting outside, so it is, like everything, quite wet here. So just distribute that around. Other one. Oh my. All right. Just spread that around here. Looks like much, but when you spread it around, it's actually not that much in the greater scheme of this bed. All right. I always lift up my irrigation lines because I like to see them. Otherwise, I always risk that I like poke through them with a shovel or so. Okay, I want to irrigate the garlic in the winter, but next year when the season starts again, we'll definitely have irrigation going. So that's important to know where the lines are and that everything is distributed well. So I have here all my 5 varieties, which I saved from this year's harvest. What I always do is to look out for the biggest garlic bulbs, which I harvested in my previous harvest, and then store them until it's time for planting again. So we have here a German red garlic, a chestnut red, music, the German hardneck garlic, which is my favorite, not because I'm German, but also it's the largest one. I'll show you in a second. And then the Spanish Roja. It's really satisfying to grow out your own garlic, which you have saved, so you really don't have to buy anything for this season, which is fun. So we'll see. I'll start with my favorite varieties, and then I'll see how much space I left to tuck in the other ones. So, for example, the German hardneck garlic is super massive. It's really, really big. Same with the music. Those are really, really sizable as well. You see here I have not small hands, so they are really, really nice and sizable. The chestnut red chestnut red was sizable as well, but the German red and the Spanish Roja, they were rather teeny tiny. So I like them as well because you don't always have to have such a massive clove of garlic, but in the greater scheme of things, I really have more bang for my space buck with large garlic than smaller. So we'll start with the German hardneck garlic first. How I plant them, I usually plant them like 3 inches apart, so 3 inches clove, then another 3 inches, and go about that. So they're a lot of them fit like this in the bed, and it has worked very, very well for me with this kind of spacing. I will amend with biotin starter fertilizer as well on top of the compost. So when we have the trenches, that's where we put them in. And usually you plant them like 3 inches deep. And I'll show you how we prepare them. Let me get the camera a little closer. So here is the beautiful German hardneck garlic. You see it's really, really large and sizable bulb. What we do is we get the outer skin off. What's important though is to leave the skin on the bulb. You don't want to peel them completely because then they are more likely to rot. So I'll just, it's always just the first one which you need to get out, and then the rest is usually easy. Oop, there you go. So you want to plant them like this, with the glove like intact with the skin around it. That will make sure that it's not rotting in the wintry conditions right now. So that's how you want to have it. Pointy side up, the bottom of it down, and then again like 2.5 to 3 inches on top of it, and you're ready to go. And here you know why the hardneck garlic is called hardneck, because they have this hard stem going through the garlic. That is something what soft-neck garlic doesn't have. Here in our northern climate in zone 6 in Attleboro, Massachusetts, hardneck garlic is the better one because it's more cold resistant, and that is also what sprouts the garlic scape in June, which you can cut off and eat as well, like that bloom stalk. You can just take that one out, and that makes the gloves easier. If I have small ones like this, I don't use those for planting. Those go back into the kitchen, but everything what looks fine like this will be used. So I'll prepare them here. I mean, just look at that, how large that is, right? All right, I separated the German hardneck garlic, the music, and the chestnut red. So those are my 3 biggest varieties. And let's go plant and see how much space we have left, and then we'll take the other 2 smaller varieties into the bed as well. Okay, I dug already 3 trenches here, labeled it. Label is important. Also, I use a little bit bigger labels for anything which winters over, just to make sure it doesn't get lost in, like we always top off our beds with shredded leaves when it's time for it, like in 3-4 weeks probably. So those slightly larger labels are just a little bit more substantial to see and not so easy to get lost. I'll add some biotin starter fertilizer, and then we get going. And again, what you want to do is pointy side up, flat side down, about 3 inches apart. Needs to go a little deeper. The soil is so compacted here from the ongoing rain which we had. It's a little tough to plant. I hope they will be okay, but I think so. I also won't water them in for that reason, because it's still plenty wet, so they should be all perfectly fine. What would also greatly work here is if you have like a dibbler to make those holes. I just use a shovel. Works perfectly fine as well. This is how it looks. And then you just close the trenches and off you go. And there we have planted our 2024 garden already. Isn't it exciting how quickly like the season goes, progresses, and you think already of next year's garden? I'm excited. That always like sparks joy, like just getting ready for next season already again. And yeah, I hope this video is interesting to you. I would love it if you can give me a like for the video. That helps me with the algorithm. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, otherwise subscribe and watch another video. Thank you.